Leo was a curious boy. He loved exploring. Every day after school, he would embark on little adventures around his house, discovering new nooks and crannies. His imagination knew no bounds, and he often pretended to be a brave explorer or a treasure hunter. His favorite place was the attic. It was a mysterious place, filled with the remnants of the past. The attic was like a time capsule, holding secrets and stories from long ago. It was full of old things, dusty and forgotten. There were old trunks covered in cobwebs, and shelves lined with books that hadn't been touched in years. Each item seemed to whisper tales of yesteryears, waiting for someone to listen. One afternoon, Leo ventured upstairs. The wooden stairs creaked under his weight, adding to the eerie atmosphere. He had a feeling that today he would discover something extraordinary. The attic was dark and musty. The air was thick with the smell of old wood and forgotten memories. Leo's heart raced with excitement as he stepped inside. Cobwebs hung from the rafters. They swayed gently in the draught, like ghostly curtains. Leo brushed them aside, determined to uncover the attic's secrets. A single ray of sunlight illuminated a corner. It was as if the sunbeam was pointing him towards something important, something hidden in the shadows.
"Hey, what's that?" Leo whispered to himself, his voice barely audible in the stillness of the attic.
Leo spotted something. His eyes widened as he noticed a small object tucked away in the corner, partially hidden under an old blanket. A small wooden box tucked away. It was covered in dust, and the wood was worn and aged. Leo's curiosity got the better of him, and he reached out to touch it. He blew off the dust. The box creaked open. The sound echoed in the quiet attic, sending a shiver down Leo's spine. Inside lay a single red button. It was unlike anything Leo had ever seen before. The button seemed to glow with an inner light, casting a soft red hue around it. It was shiny and new. Despite the age of the box, the button looked as if it had just been made. Leo's mind raced with possibilities. What could it be for? Leo's eyes widened with curiosity. He had to know more. What secrets did this button hold? What would happen if he pressed it?
"What does it do?" Leo wondered aloud, his voice filled with anticipation and excitement. The attic seemed to hold its breath, waiting for his next move.
Leo picked up the button. It was cold and smooth. He couldn't resist any longer. He had to press it. He took a deep breath and pushed the button. Nothing happened.
Maybe it's broken?
Suddenly, the room began to spin. Leo felt dizzy. The attic disappeared in a blur of colors. When everything stopped, Leo gasped. He wasn't in the attic anymore. He was somewhere else entirely. Leo looked around. He was in a basket, a very comfortable, fluffy basket. He tried to stand up, but something was wrong. His arms felt strange. He looked down. Instead of hands, he had paws, fluffy white paws. He tried to speak, but all that came out was a meow. Leo was a cat.
Meow?
He was in his own cat Mittens basket. He looked up and saw himself, or rather Mittens in his body, staring back at him with wide, confused eyes.
Meow?
Leo spent the next few hours as a cat. He chased his tail, drank water from a bowl, and napped in sunbeams. It wasn't so bad. He remembered the button. Could it change things back? He raced to the attic. He jumped on a box. He pressed the button with his paw. The room spun again. This time, when it stopped, Leo was back in his body. But the attic was different. It was upside down.
Whoa, this is crazy! Section 5, A Symphony of Squirrels.
Leo cautiously climbed down from the ceiling. The room was dimly lit, casting eerie shadows on the walls. He could hear the faint rustling of tiny feet, but he couldn't quite place where it was coming from. His heart raced as he tried to maintain his balance.
Whoa, this is tricky. The walls seemed to tilt and sway, making it even harder for him to find his footing. He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself, but the sensation of vertigo was overwhelming.
He walked on the walls, his feet sticking slightly. Each step felt like a monumental effort, as if the very fabric of reality was working against him. The adhesive quality of his shoes was both a blessing and a curse, providing grip but also making every movement laborious.
Almost there. He could see the button just a few feet away, glowing faintly in the dim light. His fingers stretched out, trembling with anticipation and fear. He knew that pressing it was his only hope of restoring normalcy.
He found his way back to the button. The journey had been arduous, but he was finally within reach. The button seemed to pulse with energy, as if it held the key to his salvation. He hesitated for a moment, gathering his courage.
Okay, let's try this again. He took a deep breath, his mind racing with thoughts of what could go wrong, but he knew he had no other choice. With a determined look, he prepared to press the button once more.
He pressed it again, hoping to set things right. The room seemed to hold its breath, the air thick with tension. For a moment, nothing happened, and Leo's heart sank, but then a soft hum filled the air, and the room began to shift.
Please work. Please work, he muttered under his breath, his fingers still pressing the button anxiously. The hum grew louder, and the room started to spin, faster and faster until everything was a blur.
The room spun once more, and when it stopped, Leo found himself surrounded by squirrels. Hundreds of them. They were everywhere, their tiny eyes glinting in the dim light. The sheer number of them was overwhelming, and Leo felt a wave of panic wash over him. They were everywhere, eating acorns, chattering loudly, and using his furniture as a playground. The squirrels seemed to be having the time of their lives, completely oblivious to the chaos they were causing. They scampered across the floor, climbed the curtains, and even gnawed on the legs of his chairs.
Oh no, not squirrels! Leo's voice was filled with despair. He had hoped for a solution, but instead he had unleashed a new kind of chaos. The sight of the squirrels wreaking havoc in his home was almost too much to bear.
Leo sneezed. He was allergic to squirrels. The realization hit him like a ton of bricks. His nose started to itch and his eyes watered. The more he tried to hold it in, the worse it got.
Achoo! This can't be happening! His sneeze echoed through the room, startling the squirrels. They paused for a moment, looking at him with curious eyes, before resuming their chaotic activities. Leo knew he had to find a way to fix this, and fast. Section 6. The Case of the Missing Nose.
Leo pressed the red button again, desperate to escape the squirrel invasion. The spinning began, and when it stopped, Leo looked in the mirror. He screamed.
My nose, it's gone.
He poked his face. Nothing. Where his nose should have been, there was only smooth skin. He searched for his nose everywhere, under the bed, behind the curtains, even in the cookie jar. No nose.
Section 7. The Great Cookie Conundrum.
Leo was starting to panic. He had to fix this. He raced back to the attic and slammed his hand down on the red button. He closed his eyes, waiting for the spin. When he opened them, he found himself buried up to his neck in cookies. They were everywhere. Chocolate chip, peanut butter, oatmeal raisin. Leo loved cookies, but this was too much. He couldn't even move.
Oh no, not cookies! I can't even move! Section 8. Order in the Chaos.
Leo struggled to free himself from the cookie avalanche. He ate his way out, which took quite a while. Finally, he could reach the button. He pressed it one last time. The room spun faster and faster. When it stopped, everything was back to normal. The attic was right side up. No squirrels, his nose was back, and no cookies in sight. Leo sighed with relief. The red button sat innocently in its box.
Phew! Finally, everything's back to normal. Section 9. Curiosity, with a pinch of caution. This chapter delves into the delicate balance between curiosity and caution, a theme that resonates deeply with many of us. It's a tale of exploration, discovery, and the wisdom that comes from knowing when to hold back.
Leo looked at the button one last time. It was tempting, but he knew better than to press it again. The button, small and unassuming, held a power that was both intriguing and dangerous. Leo's mind raced with the possibilities of what could happen if he gave in to his curiosity. Curiosity, he had learned, could lead to some very strange situations. He remembered the stories his grandmother used to tell him about Pandora's box and the unforeseen consequences of unchecked curiosity. Each tale was a lesson in itself, a reminder that not all mysteries are meant to be solved. He closed the box and put it back in the corner. From that day on, Leo decided to stick to less button-related adventures. The attic, filled with relics of the past, was a treasure trove of memories and secrets. Yet Leo knew that some secrets were best left undisturbed. The attic was still his favorite place, but now it held a new kind of excitement. The thrill of the unknown, best left undisturbed. Each item in the attic had a story, a history that Leo was eager to uncover. But the red button had taught him a valuable lesson about the limits of curiosity. After all, who knew what other surprises that mischievous red button had in store? Leo's imagination ran wild with thoughts of hidden worlds and untold adventures. But he also knew that some adventures were better left to the imagination.
I think I'll leave that button alone from now on. Leo's decision was a testament to his growth and understanding. He had learned that sometimes the greatest adventure is knowing when to walk away. The attic, with its dusty corners and hidden treasures, would always be a place of wonder for Leo. But now, it was also a place of wisdom, where he had learned the true meaning of curiosity with a pinch of caution.